So guys, I played a team sport, volleyball, and I like to get started by just giving a round of applause to my Georgia Tech volleyball team and my San Diego State volleyball team. Because without their effort in the gym, there's no way we would have achieved such greatness in the sport of volleyball. What if I told you that 2 lessons I learned in my childhood had nothing to do with a sport, and a lesson you can also learn, but also propelled me into the success of volleyball? The first one started in my childhood with my dad. You see, my dad wanted a lot of kids. My mom jokes around that he wanted more options to play games. I'm the middle of the 5 kids. I got the side crimp ponytail going on. And we just played a lot of games growing up. And one of my favorite things to do with my dad was sit at cards. I'm from Michigan, so we played a lot of euchre. And we sat there for hours because Michigan, the winters are brutal. So you played a lot of games at a card table. And if you're athletic, you played a lot of indoor sports. So this is my dad now, and this is not even a joke. I was going through my pictures, so I was like, how can I describe my dad? And he's basically like Jimmy Fallon funny and enters in any type of game, but then LeBron James competitive. There's no chance my dad's just gonna let you win. This is over Christmas. You can see my dad locked in, and then within like a snap, you can see him just going after it with a deep-hearted laughter. So that was sitting and playing games with my dad. He's just a grown-up kid. I was in my middle school years, and I was only a year younger than my brother, he was also middle school then, and he had a friend over. So we're sitting at a card table, and we're playing the game, and my brother's friend got cards, and he didn't like them. And he was like huffing and puffing and just frustrated with his hand. And I'm 12 sitting back going like, dude, that's not how you play. Like, what are you doing? So my dad chimes in and he says this. He goes, Mike, look at your hand and figure out a way to win. If you lose, learn and play again. If you win, figure out what worked and play again. I just sat there and I had the most profound thought in my 12-year-old brain. I thought, duh. Of course, with my dad, you're always playing again. And of course, you never complain about your hand. You just enter in this game mode and you figure out how to win. You see, my dad's nickname was Happy Jack. You can see him to the right of my grandpa. That's Grandpa Ralph Gilliam Eveland. His nicknames were Gil and Thumper. So that's my grandpa in the middle. So the experience with my dad growing up playing cards, and then fast forward when I was 17 years old, I was visiting my grandpa down in Florida for spring break. Because I was 17, I was allowed to be the designated driver, and Grandpa had a couple more drinks than he normally has at dinner time. And this picture was in the house of my house, all my aunts and uncles, my entire life. You see, my grandpa was a prisoner of war in Korea for 27 months. He got captured, but this was a off-limit topic that we were never allowed to discuss. We were never allowed to ask Grandpa about anything, but this picture just like was in our household, and I was always curious. Well, now fast forward, I'm 17 years old. I got Grandpa at dinner. He had a little too many drinks. I've been curious my whole life. I know my grandpa loves me unconditionally. And I go, Grandpa, what was it like being a prisoner of war in Korea? And he pursed his lips. He thought, he was quiet for a second. And then he finally goes, he shared with me how he got captured, what they ate, what they did all day. And then I could almost get choked up because it was intense. I was just sitting there listening. And he finally got to the part of talking about how they slept. So he explained that there was like a heater at one end, but there's 3 rooms that were stacked. And the first room was really hot. The second room was like the perfect room, and the last room was really cold. And the soldiers would sleep head to feet like the whole way down, all the rooms, and they would rotate the rooms each night, just to be fair, to rotate. My grandpa developed nerve damage in his foot, and so much so because they had to sleep head to feet. His feet were thumping, and that's how he developed the nickname Thumper. So I'm telling you guys, this was an off-limit topic. I was 17 years old, I told my dad how Grandpa got the nickname. My dad had no idea. So when he finally got to his nickname and he shared with me, I could tell he was done talking. He was done telling a story. And I finally chimed in. I was 17. I go, Grandpa, did you guys just complain the whole time? And he looked at me dead in the face, and he goes, Kele, what would have been the use of complaining about it if we couldn't change our situation? It would have only made things worse. I mean, Grandpa might as well have done a mic drop and walked off that dinner time with me. And that taught me a major lesson, that if you can't change your situation, what is the use of complaining about it? And then from my childhood, look at your hand and figure out a way to win. Enter the game mode. My dad really instilled the joy of competing, no fear of losing, because you play again. You lose, you play again. And guys, that launched me into the intangibles I needed for what was to come, and I didn't even know it. So I went on to play college volleyball at Georgia Tech. I was ACC Rookie of the Year. I was allowed to start my freshman year, which was awesome. And I was in a system, and the system of like, it's just like football. You're in an offensive system. You walk in, you learn the system, you run it, and we did well. ACC Rookie of the Year, as far as that goes, but my team won the conference. We did well, and that worked. But it wasn't until my sophomore season that we were in practice, and my side started losing, and I was like, I knew what this player could do against my teammate here, and I walk up to her and I go, hey, can you run this play? I mean, we're in practice and I'm creating a new offense. and she goes, yeah, got it. And I was like, all right, got it. And she trusted me, I trusted her, we did it and got really creative. We had our coaches, and the head coach was like everybody was impressed by what we were doing, but finally, when it didn't work, of course, if you're not really training it, you're taking a lot of risk, and you're allowed to. But when it didn't work, we definitely had to go back in the system, got a little bit in trouble by pushing the limits. But this is what happened. My assistant coach, my first 2 seasons, got the head coaching job during my last 2 seasons. That cards you're dealt, oh my gosh, if it wasn't for him him seeing what he had in me, and he saw something special, within a week of him getting the head coaching job, he brings me into his office, and his name is Bon Shemansky. Brings me into his office. He had an open sheet of paper in his journal, and he goes, Kele, what plays do you want to run? And I look at him, and I'm like, are you serious? I even talked to him before I came on this. I was like, I didn't even answer him because I was like, are you serious? And he's like, yeah, we came up with a new offense. Drawn on that chart, drawn on his page, like it had the pages filled up. I want to run this. With this player, we can do this. With da-da-da-da-da, and we were hitting it. Within the year later, within the next season, we win the conference tournament, but our offense starts taking off, creating this new system. And the cool part is, we had that meeting. He saw something that I had in my brain, the audible in volleyball, like the hurry up offense in football. Basically, I was constantly doing that. The ball's on the other side, I was audibling out the next play as we're playing defense and just constantly changing up. The block didn't know where it was going. And I figured out how to make my teammates successful, and we trained it. He trained it. So much so that my senior year, our offense was number 1 in the nation. I was statistically number 1 in the nation for assists per set. As a team, we're number 1 for kills and assists per set. We beat Nebraska. Yes. Well, I love what Nebraska does for the sport of volleyball. I'm not a Nebraska hater, but you know what Nebraska is. We beat them. So much so, go up, the legendary John Cook. I pulled this quote out of archives. I was like, I'm going to get this back on video. He said, I've never seen a college setter do what she's doing. I was allowed to, but yeah, Bonchemansky doing it. My teammates bought in. I didn't annoy him with the constant audibles. But our passing was so good. So our team shot up. We were 4th in the nation at the end of the season. I got ACC Player of the Year, and then at the end of the season, I was in the Final Four for like Player of the Year, which is like the Heisman. And I was the first team All-American, which is like top 14 players in the nation in ACC volleyball history. So because of that, Georgia Tech retired my jersey because I broke a major glass ceiling. I happened to be the only female in the history of Georgia Tech with her jersey retired. Crazy. Did I hit that? Yes. Crazy. And then I played professionally over in Spain for a couple years, 4 years, and then came back to San Diego State. Now I came into as a college coach with a brand new coaching staff, and Dietrich Collins Parker, the woman holding the trophy in this picture, she gave me the green light to run the offense, guys, which was she gave me a green light to run it, to teach the setters, to teach a setter. By my setter sophomore season, she was setter of the year for the conference. Again, setter of the year the following season. I just had a gift to like look at what we had, figure out a way to work, and then teach it. And now I call matches. I'm on TV calling pro and college volleyball. I'm on the ESPN roster, so you might have already heard me without even knowing it. And I take a lot of risks, like just like I do when I played. I take so many risks, guys. And I just go for the joke or my biggest skill is probably play prediction. Like I just playing chess, playing cards. Like I can see what each team is doing, and then they're like, what do you think's gonna happen next? I predict it. And I just get it in my brain. But if it wasn't for my dad teaching me how to play the hand, figure out how to win with the cards I'm dealt. Don't get frustrated with the cards you're dealt. You're stuck with them. You're stuck with your teammates. You're stuck with your coaches. The immature people complain, but like my grandpa taught me, and of course I have a math brain, so we're going to throw stats out there. You got the research by Christine Parath and Christine Pearson published in the Journal of Applied Psychology. Complaining negative behavior on a team has a 40% reduction in effort, a 38% lower quality of work, and 47% of teammates become disengaged. And guys, that is simply adding complaining in a team setting that you cannot control the cards you're dealt. So I totally understand complaining. I totally get, like, sometimes you need to vent. And there's a concept in sports, trash talking. Everybody's heard it. I mean, I didn't really trash talk, but I definitely talked about, because you have a net divided, I definitely talked about the other team to my teammates. Heck yeah. Yeah, that's how I was hitting the trash talk, but I'm never across the net because it was like, I'm trying to make you look like silly out there. So with that I'm going to give you a visual just to understand. If this is your team circle, here we go, I'm in heels. This is your team circle. You got to protect that circle with everything you got. Trash talking is actually dumping complaints in there. You dump complaints in your circle, it's going to be dirty. You're going to drop in that percentage of your team's performance. So your goal, if you're any type of leader, first is checking yourself and keeping the circle clean as you can. I get venting. You have to sometimes release your feelings. You're frustrated with situations, you're frustrated with coaches, teammates, personalities. Nothing you can do about those people. So find your vent. Find your safe place to vent. Get it out of there, but you protect that circle with everything you got. Because if you add complaining in that circle, you're done for. So my 3 challenges to you, and I'll leave you with this, because this is not sport related. You can apply this and have success if you keep that circle clean from your team. Is first, check your words, listen to yourself. What are you saying? If you hear complaints constantly coming out of your words, that's what you first check. And then after you check your words, you listen to your thoughts. Other people hear your words, but you hear your thoughts. So you're like, okay, what can I do? How do I make this situation successful? Yes, I can't stand that person. That person might have issues. I'm not their issue. They're trying to project those on me. Like, this is not it, but I need them to win. I need them to be successful for my team to have success. And then only then you walk into that success, then you can help others do the same. Thank you.